Welcome to another episode of Touring the AFC South. I am your host, Mike Patton, and it's Pittsburgh week for the Tennessee Titans as they head up north, take on those Pittsburgh Steelers in what is usually a very, very physical game. Now, for this episode, of course, I wanted to get a little insight on the Pittsburgh Steelers. So I kind of, reached out to someone that I saw. I was like, okay, cool. Let me go get her on the show. It's the first time coming on the show. That'd be Miss Donni Ray. What's going on?
Hey, how are you?
I am doing great. How are you? Now, no, I'm sorry. How are you? I'm sorry. I didn't even.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good.
I done messed around and skipped over that and everything. See, didn't even have my manners ready. But before we kind of get to the show, of course, first we do the get off your chest segment, but I have to talk about my sponsor. That would be Manscaped. Now, of course, everyone doesn't, it's getting closer and closer to Christmas season. And I want to help you out. Let me help you. Giving you 20% off Manscaped products, you smell good, your lotions, your razors, all those different things to keep yourself looking nice, fellas. And ladies, you want your man to look nice, get them some Manscaped products and tell them 20% is off on me. 20% is off on me. Free shipping with the promo code AFC South. Again, free shipping, 20% off, manscaped.com with the promo code AFC South. Just want y'all to, kind of marinate on that. Go on and, go and buy something and just send me a thank you. It'll be all right. Thank you.
Yeah, I might have to see if my dad needs some.
All right. Well, before we kind of get to the Pittsburgh and Tennessee talk, there is the get off your chest segment. And of course, it's around Halloween, it's trick or treat, and there is some tricks in the NFL, and there are some treats in the NFL. Now, I was thinking, did I want to talk about the tricks or the treats? Well, I think I'm going to talk about the treats this episode. I will talk about the treat that I think is a treat is the New York Football Jets. Now, of course, everyone thought they were going to be just great to start the year with Aaron Rodgers. And, of course, he gets hurt after 4 plays. Everyone just demolishes their season, say it's over. They won't win any games. But lo and behold, they're 4-3 through 7 games, folks. Now, I will say this. It isn't the prettiest 4-3. But they're playing defense and they're running the football, which is what they do. They know who they are. Now, that's not to say that, of course, that Mr. Zach Wilson hasn't had some bad moments, but he's had some good moments too. Mm-hmm. But, it just, to me, they're being true to themselves, true to their identity, and they're making it work with what they have. So that, to me, they've been a treat to watch. Just I would say, being a former college defensive player, I do love the defense. So that's just, I just want to talk about a treat that I saw in the NFL. I mean, do you want to talk about a trick or a treat you saw in the NFL?
Actually, no, but I just to piggyback on what you were saying, I literally was watching football and I noticed that the Jets have been winning. And honestly, that comes down to like coaching. So I agree. Like the way that their season started, everybody was on the Aaron Rodgers train, including me. I'm thinking, we're going to see something great coming out of Aaron Rodgers, maybe a Super Bowl run, good playoff run. And then to see that happen, I wasn't too shocked that he got injured, but in 4 plays was crazy. It's like maybe he should think about retiring. But the way that the Jets are handling everything and that they're still able to go out there and win and aren't a total bust, like there's teams that are worse than them. I enjoy watching that. I think it also has something to do with maybe Zach Wilson just being mentored in that training camp by Aaron Rodgers. But yeah, like you said, it was shocking. Not saying that they're like the best team how they possibly could have been this season, but it's nice to see them still making something happen. And it's always good to see teams fight through that type of adversity.
Definitely. Now, speaking of adversity, of course, the Steelers and the Titans have definitely faced their bit of it. But before we get into that, I want folks to actually get to know you. Can you please tell everyone there's a myriad of things that you do, by the way, for those that don't know.
Yeah.
Can you please tell everyone all of the wonderful things that you are involved in? Because there's a lot.
Yeah, there is. I don't even know where to start. Thank you, though. Well, let's see. I'm a student at the University of Pittsburgh. This is my last year. I am majoring in film and media with the hopes of becoming a sports reporter, mainly focusing like sidelining, but whatever opportunities come, I will take them. I do a little bit of content creating. I have my own podcast called She's Got the Lead. It started with my dad, and we would do like weekly topics, and we would just talk some football, talk some regular sports during COVID, and now it's switched over to kind of like interviews, and I'm kind of taking it over a little bit more now. I have a lash business, so I'm a lash technician as well. And at the university, I am the sports director for WPTS Radio, which is your home for all things Pitt sports. I interned a little bit with Pitt Athletics, and yeah, I'm a host also on the radio show for WPTS, and I do play-by-play, color commentary, and I do interviews there as well.
Now, did everyone get that? Did you break out your pen and write all those things down? So if you need to know somebody in Pittsburgh that knows some sports, I believe my guest tonight will definitely be someone you need to call. So, definitely you do a lot of different things, and that's awesome, and that you're kind of involved in a lot of different things, and it's kind of spreading your wings and getting everyone to know you.
Yeah, it's good to be versatile in this business. Honestly, I've been learning that a lot.
Gotcha. It definitely is. Speaking of teams that are kind of versatile, that would be the Jacksonville Jaguars. That was the team the Steelers faced recently. They can get it done through the air, and they can get it done on the ground, and they surely got it done against the Pittsburgh Steelers recently, 20-10. Now, I will say, offensively, the Steelers have been kind of interesting. They have their moments, where George Pickens catches a pass from Kenny Pickett, and then they have their moments where the offensive line just cannot get it done, and Pickett goes down in a blaze of glory. So, what can you just say about just the inconsistent play of the offense?
This is crazy because I've talked about this on my radio show this morning at school. I feel like the Steelers have been a little bit mediocre throughout the years. And although I'm a big fan of everything Pittsburgh. But like you were saying, the inconsistency. We go out there, we have these great draft picks. We go and we do something amazing as far as like the trades and the free agency and the offseason. Then we come into these seasons and I personally think that we have one of the best receiving corps in the league as far as just people's names. And, we have a good quarterback. He's young. We're finally, getting into that stage of Pittsburgh football where we're a little bit more modern. Because over the years, we just had Ben and all these other teams were getting like these young guys. Like even in the AFC South, we see Trevor Lawrence, CJ Stroud, and now Will Levis. So I think Kenny Pickett being our quarterback, we're modernizing ourselves a little bit more, but we still struggle with the inconsistency of like getting those passes out. Like, and the first drive of the game against Jacksonville, wide open pass wasn't caught by Deontay Johnson. And that's something that we often see. Like, we're not one of those high scoring teams. Like you said, our line struggles a lot, which is ridiculous because we went out and got veterans. So honestly, the inconsistency is why we're not first in our division and why we lose these games. Because I don't think we could have. I think we were capable of winning that game even with Mitch Trubisky, but it's like we can't win these games if we don't have a good line, if our quarterback keeps getting hit off of dumb calls, and we have receivers who, aren't going out there and getting it. It's like at practice when you walk or you watch as Pittsburgh media, you sit here and you think like these guys look good in practice. You think the Pickett to Pickens connection is like one of the best, and we barely see in any games. The Pickett and Pickens connection probably has been shown like once every single game that we played this year. Like it's not, like you said, it's not consistent. And in order for us to become a playoff team and actually get out there and win these playoff games, they have to be consistent because we have the roster, we have the guys, we have the coach. Well, Mike Tomlin, not Matt Canada, but we have the coach. So I don't know what's happening, honestly. They were saying it was the refs a little bit, but at the end of the day, that type of stuff can happen. So you need to go out there and you need to make those catches. You need to stop getting these 3-and-outs, and you need to just go out there and score.
Right. And the one thing that you just talked about, the referees and things like that. One thing I will always say, a team that is a winning team is going to win the game and figure out a way to win the game. They're not going to say, "Oh, the referees cost us this game every single week."
Exactly.
That's not what a winning team does. But in this game, of course, an injury to Kenny Pickett. He did say he's going to play.
Yeah, I just
and that's going to be interesting. Playing with the injury, he's played with a few injuries, and it's going to be just interesting to see how he does, especially on the short week. What are your thoughts about just his toughness and him kind of playing through an injury on a short week?
Honestly, I respect Kenny Pickett for even fighting through something like that. Rib injuries are something that you want to stay away from, especially like we were saying with our line. You definitely need to protect yourself. So that's one thing that I would say that needs to happen. It needs to change. Our line has to protect Kenny Pickett in order for us to win this game because he is hurt. And one wrong thing, we would see Mitch Trubisky coming out there like as soon as he takes a hard hit. Kenny Pickett has been showing that he is our quarterback. He's our guy that we trust. So like I said, I have a lot of respect for him playing Thursday, but I wouldn't be upset if I see, Mitch Trubisky coming out there because at the end of the day, the league is about longevity. So I would rather have him miss this one game rather than miss the entire season because we are second in our division, so we could possibly make the playoffs. And I would rather have Kenny Pickett there than have him, here. Although all games count, but it's about those important games. So, I mean, if he does play, I'm hoping he has a good game. Like I said, they have to protect him, make sure he's, safe. I'm pretty sure they're gonna pat him up. But they say he didn't take any structural damage, but it's like the rib is a rib, so I don't know how that's gonna work. Yeah, but they said it's like a game time decision, so we'll see. So hopefully Mitch Trubisky is out there playing and building those connections up. He didn't do too bad. We seen a touchdown from him, and last year he was the starter, so these guys know how to work with him. It's just depending on if they really want to. They ain't got all that faith in Kenny, so it's like. How would they feel as far as not having Kenny Pickett as their QB1 this Thursday? But you all are professionals. You got to suck it up. And at the end of the day, you want to win a game. You blame the Jacksonville game on the refs. So let's see what happens on Thursday when we have our own momentum going from the start. Just go out there, score, and leave it at that.
There we go. Now, one other thing I want to mention: Minkah Fitzpatrick, hamstring issue. He's out for this game. What is it going to? How big of a miss is that going to be with him not being out there?
I think it'll be a pretty big impact. Honestly, Minkah's one of the best guys that we have as far as our secondary. But I don't even know because I don't really know how I feel. Of course, it's going to be a big impact. When they're trying to go far down the field, Minkah's always that guy to stop them. And our secondary is a little bit young. We have Joey Porter Jr., Patrick Peterson, in my opinion, hasn't been doing anything. But that's just that's just me. He hasn't been doing nothing, but you gotta respect him. So, he hasn't been doing much, but it will make a big impact. Hopefully it's not too noticeable. I think the way that they prep for this short week, I think they'll be prepared. But like I said, Joey Porter Jr. has been, all over the field. Although that's not his position, I do have faith that he will, step up where he's needed. And I think we'll be okay because although Minkah has a big impact on our defense as a whole, we still have other guys in there who create a big piece of our defense and not allowing points to be scored on us.
Okay. All right. Now, we visited what happened in the Jaguars and Steelers game. But there's a game on Thursday night. That will be the Titans and the Steelers. We're going to kind of get into that, a few of the matchups, things like that. But first, we got to take a quick commercial break on Torn AFC South with your host, Mike Patton.
A shift. A shift is something that happens and changes the dynamics. And that's what happened when Garrett Logistics was born. After 10 years as a sales pro in the logistics world of sporting goods, John Garrett decided to pivot to the world of freight and start a brokerage. So you're saying to yourself, why trust Garrett Logistics? Well, Garrett Logistics helps shippers improve overall workflow, along with increased on-time pickup and delivery percentages. Last-minute loads, multi-drop pickups, and more are part of the services with Garrett Logistics. They're available Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 6 p.m., and Saturday, 8 a.m. to 12 p.m., all times Central Standard Time. So give them a ring at 615-400-8484. That's 615-400-8484, or you can email them at john@garrettlogistics.co or visit their website at garrettlogistics.co. Garrett Logistics, where the motto is, it's not just freight to us, it's your business.
All right, and we are back. And like I mentioned before the commercial break, we're going to talk a little Titans and Steelers. Now, the Titans are coming off a big win against the Atlanta Falcons, of course, NFC South leading Atlanta Falcons, by the way, 28-23. I mean, definitely was an entertaining game. I was actually there and able to cover the game, so I was actually in the media box watching this game. So, a lot of interesting action and a lot of interesting talk after the game as well. But let's get to the matchup. Of course, offensively for the Titans, of course, Derrick Henry is a straw that stirs the drink. 20-plus carries, when he has those, they usually win. When he doesn't, they usually lose. Now, in this game, he had 22 carries, 101 yards. Didn't score a touchdown, but I think Will Levis took care of that. Yeah. So how much do you see him having an effect on this game versus this Pittsburgh defense?
Who, Derrick Henry?
Derrick, yes. Mm-hmm.
I think, because I remember the last time we played, I think Derrick Henry will always make a good impact. I don't know. Let's see.
I'll tell you this. I'll tell you this, though. I'll tell you this. They're probably going to crowd the line against him. I know that.
I mean, I think when you know that, like, our defense, when you know that you're going up against a guy like Derrick Henry, you're prepared. Like, he's huge. He's, like, the size of the defenders that we have. Like you were saying, they're going to stack the line. They're going to try to stop him. But he's really hard to stop. Like I said, the way he runs, the size. And I don't think that we've done that great of a job of stopping the run. I think we had trouble with that when we played the Browns. So that's something that we also need to work on in our long list of things that the Pittsburgh Steelers have to fix in order to win. So stopping Derrick Henry, it's possible, of course, but it's going to be a challenge. And that'll be one of the biggest challenges that we face this Thursday, along with what I've seen from Will Levis. But I'm going to let you, get into that question.
Well, since you did kind of speak about Mr. Will Levis, he did have a great game for his first game. Now, he was 19-29, 238 yards, 4 touchdowns, kind of 4 touchdowns. He was on time for the most part. He was accurate, and he was letting it loose. I mean, honestly, there was a couple plays there that, I don't know if you saw it from TV or anything like that, but there was a couple plays he was throwing it into coverage, and they were still catching it. So that was pretty amazing that he had that kind of ability. He has a lot of faith in his arm, which that was one of the things that a lot of people were talking about coming into the draft. That was something that could kind of scare them away from him. But he played well. But I will say, the Atlanta Falcons did not have a guy named TJ Watt. The one thing with the Atlanta Falcons, they're a good defense and a top 10 defense, but they don't have one great pass rusher. They're like, okay, cool. We got a game plan around him. The Titans' offensive line has been susceptible to a great pass rusher. Now, if you see the Myles Garrett game, that was pretty ugly for the Tennessee Titans because they could not protect against Myles Garrett. So going into this game, I would expect to see TJ Watt kind of see Will Levis a lot and maybe get a lot of pressure on him, maybe knock him off his spot a little bit.
Yeah, I was gonna mention that. I was gonna ask how you felt about the line. I don't watch too much of Titans football, of course, but yeah, I was gonna ask because if you had we don't have that great of O line, so if you guys don't have that great of O line, I think T.J. Watt will knock Will Levis off his feet. As far as T.J. Watt could possibly give Will Levis a welcome to the NFL moment. Now, I was, rooting for Will Levis as far as the draft, and what he did this past Sunday was, nothing short of amazing. I always like to see rookie young guys go out there and, solidify their spot and their spot in the league. But like you said, when you're playing a defense like we have, I think, or even Alex Highsmith, like TJ Watt and Alex Highsmith, I think they'll be able to easily get through that line. And, I think I'm expecting to see a couple of sacks, and hopefully if Kenny Pickett plays or not, if it's not a high scoring game, of course, like over the years, our defense will save us. And yeah, that's how I feel about it. I mean, maybe we probably won't see too many interceptions because, the way that he was, throwing it and getting it to DeAndre Hopkins, like you said, in coverage. I think his passing is pretty, efficient, but a lot of sacks probably will be happening.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see that, perhaps, and then also it hurts that it doesn't help, I should say, that one of the starting tackles is out, and now Andre Dillard is going to have to step back in. Which, for those that don't remember, Andre Dillard had a pretty rough game against Myles Garrett, and Myles Garrett was actually, I remember the video that from Teron Davenport for ESPN that covers the Titans. He actually was talking to him and said that Myles Garrett was giving him tips on things to do after the game to actually get better. So I was like, at that point, I was like,
yeah, I don't
know. So that's
that. Yeah.
But it's going to be interesting to see if he's learned and grow. Because I will say this, against the Falcons, when he came in, he was solid. He really didn't give up anything. So we'll see if that kind of transitions to this game, because he's going to have to start again.
Yeah, I mean, Myles Garrett and TJ Watt, I feel like they have a lot of similarities, especially when we play the Browns. Like, those two are some of the most impactful players. Like, Myles Garrett kills me every time we play them. Like, he's like, ugh, but he's good, and I respect that. So if they had a hard time with Myles Garrett, I definitely think they're going to have a hard time with TJ Watt. Like, TJ Watt, other than Minka and, a little bit of Alex Highsmith, that's our defense. And every time you play the Pittsburgh Steelers, that's the name that's going to come up. Like, he's had sacks, he's had some forced fumbles, interceptions. I've never seen a linebacker get this many interceptions, actually run them into the end zone. So he's going to be an impact player for this game, and I'm looking forward to it.
Okay. All right. Speaking of another impact player, that would be Mr. Jeffrey Simmons. Now, Jeffrey Simmons had 2 sacks against the Atlanta Falcons, and he was all over the place in the backfield. He had a forced fumble as well against Desmond Ridder, who was subsequently pulled in the second half, and Taylor Heineke replaced him. So it'll be interesting to see. Now, you talked about the line problems for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think Mr. Jeffrey Simmons is going to be licking his chops a little bit looking at that.
Yeah, our line is a little weak. It's a little weak. But I mean, I haven't heard anything as far as like if we're making any changes or any replacements. So if our line can't get it together, that'll really determine like if we see a good performance out of Kenny Pickett or if we're even getting Mitch Trubisky. Because like I was saying, if you don't protect him early on, it's going to be a long game.
That's right. It could be a long game on both sides, right?
Yeah.
Now, I will say, if they are able to protect, Kenny Pickett, now the Titans have been susceptible to giving up big plays. Now, every game they've given up probably a play or two, or at least more than that, of 20 plus yards. And of course, against the Falcons, it wasn't like they gave up a boatload of them, but they still did give up some big plays in that game. So if you're looking at Pickett to Pickens, this could potentially be the game, especially with the propensity of the Titans to give up big plays, game after game after game.
Yeah. I think we could definitely take advantage of that if you feel as though you guys are giving up a lot of plays, but it's not even the Pickett to Pickens connection that I would be worried about if I was you guys. Like I said, I think we have one of the best receiving cores. We have great tight ends. I don't know if we haven't been giving him a lot of attention, but Darnell Washington, he's like, I don't know, he might be like 6'6" or something. He's a really big guy. We have him. We have Pat Freiermuth. We have Connor Hayward. We have Deontay Johnson. And over the past couple games, he has been targeting Deontay Johnson a lot, even though he's one of our most inconsistent receivers, in my opinion. But he's good at what he does when he does catch the ball. But those would be the connections that I would be worried about if I was the Titans, because if our line could protect Kenny and he was able to actually stay in the pocket and actually get it to like all these other names that I mentioned, I think that our offense would put up way more points. But I would kind of be concerned about the Titans offense too, especially with Will Levis, because he had 4 touchdowns in one game. I don't even think we had 4 touchdowns. I mean, he had them in like a quarter. We haven't even had that many in like a game. And if we had that many points, it was defensive points. Like, we don't really score. And I'm a little concerned about our run game as far as that too. I don't know how you feel about you guys stopping the run, but I mean, you probably could stop us. Our play calling is basic.
Yeah, I will say that the Titans, the bread and butter, has definitely been stopping the run. So I would say that that's the strength of their team, and I know Jeffrey Simmons is not having it. That's
yeah, our I feel like we have Najee Harris and we have Jaylen Warren, and Jaylen Warren has, in my opinion, made a huge impact on our run game. Now, Najee Harris, Alabama running back, 2nd-round draft pick. You got to keep that guy as RB1. But Jaylen Warren has been making a strong impact. But also, I don't mind the way that we operate with them, too, because it's kind of like when the Browns had like Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. It's like there's nothing wrong with having 2 dominant running backs. So I think the versatility that we have in the run game could be a reason that we, get some rushing yards on you guys, or even like rushing touchdowns. But it still struggles slightly, because I think we run the ball too many times, like back to back, is where our offense. Y'all been knowing everything about the league is a fire to match the guy. So everything is very predictable. And like I was mentioning earlier, that's why we're not too modernized as far as what's happening in the league. So, I mean, our running game, on the ground, it'll be ideal to, have those plays in there. But I think the only way that we could really win is if Kenny Pickett and these connections get their consistency up. And if we stop some people, in the secondary, as far as like Joey Porter. I think I don't want to butcher his name. I think it's Casey. He had an interception in the Jaguar game. I think it's Casey. Kazee, is it? Okay, yeah. Kazee. So hopefully we can get some stops there, and like you said, TJ Watt and Alex Highsmith. Everything that we mentioned, those are going to be the components that we need to come together in order to get a win. Because if we don't, I don't know what's going to happen. We might not be in the playoffs. I don't know.
Well, I would say this: y'all are always going to be around the playoffs as long as Mike Tomlin is coaching in Pittsburgh. That is he is the. I will say this, and I used to say this about Bill Belichick, but he is the MacGyver of NFL coaches. You give him anything, he gonna figure out a way to win games. I mean, he just does.
I mean, I agree. That's crazy. You're literally talking about everything that we talked about early this morning. I love Mike Tomlin. Like you said, comparing him to Bill Belichick was actually a good comparison, because over the years, like with Tom Brady, I knew nobody on the Patriots except Tom Brady and Julian Edelman, but they were still winning Super Bowls. But yeah, Mike Tomlin, he hasn't had a losing season, but that's also where I feel like us Steelers fans are kind of settling for the bare minimum. Of course, we're always going to be in these playoffs, but it's like when you're a Steelers fan, you expect championships. And although Mike Tomlin has been taking us to these places and never had a losing season, we haven't seen a championship in a very long time. And we're switching things up. We're getting these good guys. We're getting a good roster, but we're still not as dominant as I feel like we could be. Like, we have the roster, we have the guys, we're paying the players, we have the names, but we're still not really a team that people are afraid to face. Like, when it comes to us, I think we are really one of those teams that play at our level. Like, we got beat by the Texans. I don't know how that happened.
Hey, they're actually not bad this year. The Texans are, to be honest. They're a lot better than what people thought.
Yes, they are, but it was early on, so I'm thinking, that's an easy, win for the Steelers. But again, we play to our level, and then we lose games like that, and it's like it's always off small mistakes. I don't think there's a team who really actually there was. The 49ers made us look really bad. But other than that, and they've been losing too. So I don't know. Other than that, I don't think we are a shutout team, and we haven't been for a minute.
I'll say this about Mike Tomlin. I think he's definitely an excellent coach. The thing I think that kind of holds him back most, and I don't know how much is talked about this in Pittsburgh, but I think the general manager holds him back more than anything. Because I'm sitting there thinking in my mind, I'm like, okay, they need offensive linemen. They need this. They need that. Okay, why aren't we getting these pieces? Why aren't we doing this? Why are we doing that? That's where my mind goes. I think they go more for the bargain guy or the guy we can get for this price instead of going to get what they actually need. Because I'm like, if you get the pieces that Mike Tomlin needs in terms of offensive line and those different things, I think you would see a even better team than what you're actually seeing with the Pittsburgh Steelers right now. So I think it's the GM more than I think it's Mike Tomlin, in my opinion.
Yeah, and that's where I would say, again, modernizing our team, because you see these other teams and they're making these trades, they're picking these young guys. I think the biggest thing that holds back the Steelers, being a Steelers fans for years, is, well, like you said, we're kind of cheap. Just a little bit. We're cheap, in my opinion. And if you look around the league, we are one of the most family-oriented teams, which isn't a bad thing. We have a lot of brothers. We sign brothers. We keep them together. We sign dads and their sons and everything else like that. But I think that we have a tendency to hold on to people a little bit longer than we should. And I've seen that multiple times. So I think, like you said, it's a general manager thing. We know we need, but we never want to go out there and actually get it. The Steelers would rather, stay low. I know that didn't just happen. Stay low. My phone is literally off. I don't know how that happened. But anyways, sorry. Stay low on the radar. And we like to just work with what we have instead of actually going out there and making these splash picks and shocking the league. We just want to stick to what we know. And we also like to keep people around the league. Like I mentioned, Patrick Peterson. Yeah. Or Mitch Trubisky. Why are you going out there?
I got another one for you.
Guys who?
That'd be Joe Hayden. Yeah, that was another one.
We hold on to players too long, and that's what plays a big impact and why we're not, making these choices, because we want to get these older guys who don't necessarily want all the money. They just want to keep playing in the league sometime. We're signed to a deal quick and fast, but they come and they're not making an impact, where you could have just either drafted somebody or traded for somebody. I heard rumors we were supposed to get Patrick Surtain. Why wouldn't you? One of our corners just got hurt. The other one isn't doing anything. Joey Porter's new. He's making an impact, but why wouldn't you want somebody who can, change the way the defense looks instead of how it is, where it's kind of a little, I don't know.
A little interesting.
Yeah, like like I can't think of the word right now, but like
kind of even
plateau. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I hear you there. I honestly, I don't think they're saying with to win anywhere, but I totally understand. You could have potentially another guy that was out there was the guy from the Chicago Bears that requested a trade. That would have probably been a good ad as well. Last name was Johnson, I believe. Can't remember his first name right now, but he requested a trade too, and of course that didn't happen. But of course, we have gone through the questions, and hopefully we have a good game between the Steelers and the Titans. That's above all. I want a good game. But well, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I think we will. I think we'll see a good game. I think we'll see a competitive game. It depends on, even if we have Mitch Trubisky, I think it'll be a competitive game. We might see a little bit of interceptions though.
Yeah, no, that's what I was gonna say. Mitch is good for one. No, he's good for one. And then of course, well, never mind. We already know that story. But of course, we have reached the end of the show. But of course, there is a game section of the show. It's 5 games. 5 questions, 2 answers, and 1 choice. I've got 5 questions for you. They are not all sports questions. So, Are you ready?
I think so.
All right. Now, I remember you saying about Janae Aiko and you listening to Janae Aiko, okay? So I'm going to pick a couple songs that I actually know. And actually, I do listen to Janae Aiko, by the way. The Worst or While We're Young. Which song, if you had to choose one, would you choose from her?
The Worst.
Yeah, that song is tight though. That song is it's kind of it's tight, but it's kind of make you kind of cringe if you make you kind of cringe a little bit too, because you'd be like, oh man. But okay.
Like one of her staples in her career, like that song.
Yeah.
That
song was nice though. Song was nice. I can't even be mad at that song. I like the song. I do like the song. Okay, you got to choose one event to attend. You got to choose All-Star Weekend, or are you going to choose New York Fashion Week?
All-Star Weekend, of course.
Okay, all right. Hey, I'm just throwing stuff out there. You never know. You might have wanted to go to Fashion Week. You can bring back one Pittsburgh Steelers wide receiver: Antonio Brown or Juju Smith-Schuster.
Antonio Brown. I don't care what he's got going on. He's good.
All right. Now you got Najee Harris or Jaylen Warren. You got one drive to win the game. Which running back are you going to put in?
Is it like a 1-yard drive?
No. This is a length of the field drive.
Oh
God. I didn't say they were easy questions.
Yeah, I want to say Jaylen Warren just because he knows how to break away. I think he's a little faster than Najee. And Najee's big, like he'll, stiff arm the mess out of you, but he doesn't finish plays the way Jaylen Warren does. And Jaylen Warren's size allows him to have an advantage of getting out of certain tackles. So I would go Jaylen Warren, and like I said, he can break away. Najee's a little slow to me.
Gotcha. Well, he's an interesting guy. Just to me, I think with the Pittsburgh Steelers, I think he's kind of a volume running back, and they're not necessarily trying to be a volume running back team. That's why I think it kind of the disconnect happens with Najee.
I'm kind of scared to see what happens, once his contract is up. I don't know if he really fits what we're looking for, but
yeah, it'll be interesting. Definitely be interesting, and especially in the running back market where nobody wants to pay them. So definitely be interesting.
I know we ain't.
All right. And the last question I have for you, I've got LA or Atlanta. You got a quick weekend trip. Which city are you going to?
Atlanta. I hear a lot of good things about it.
Oh, yeah, Atlanta is fun. It's definitely the creative capital.
Yeah. I've been to LA though. I wasn't the area that I stayed in. I don't think I was a fan. It was just a lot of pizza places, and when you don't have LA money, there's no need for you to be down there.
No, I will say I've been to LA. I went to Venice Beach before too. I mean, it was fun. It was actually fun. I went during the summer. So I mean, it's vibes out there. It's chill vibes out there, especially depending upon where you go. for sure.
Yeah, well, I bought up money because I was on Rodeo. So
okay then.
Shopping. So I definitely choose Atlanta. You know, I feel like I would be able to do more. I'm 21 now, so.
Okay. Oh, okay then. All right. Okay. But we have reached the end of 5 questions, 2 answers, and 1 choice. All right. And I want to thank you for coming on the show. Now, here's your time. You can tell everyone where they can find you on social media and what all you're working on.
Okay. Thank you so much for having me. This was fun and the highlight of my night. You guys can follow me at the Donni Rae. It's DONNIRAE. And you can also follow my sports page at She's Got the Lead. It's also in my bio. And right now, just working on, you know, graduating. I'll be graduating in April and securing a job after graduation. And, you know, hopefully you guys can see me on TV at a news station soon.
All right. Now, are you on the artist formerly known as Twitter?
Yeah, I am. It's like I forget about Twitter, but it's the same thing as my Instagram. The Donni Rae. Yeah. So if you're a Pittsburgh fan, I talk a lot of stuff about Pittsburgh. My Twitter is strictly Pittsburgh sports.
All right. Now, of course, my name is Mike Patton. You can find me on the artist formerly known as Twitter at Mike Patton82. That's MikePatton 82. Of course, you can find me on Instagram and Threads at that's THA, not THE, _general_MP. Now, of course, Touring the AFC South you can find on YouTube, of course, where you can see us. You can also find us on, Touring the AFC South on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, you name it, we are there. I want to thank you, everyone, for tuning in to Touring the AFC South with your host, Mike Patton. We're out.